Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. City creation basically are discussing one of the topic that is India account, SBI account, and after 2 days basically the big earthquake is going to happen to India. Basically. So that is the topic. One person basically asked the question. There is one country called India. Then one person said yes, basically there is one country called India. If I say that that entire country computers are connected with one land, then you will able to believe it basically. For example, there is one Canada country basically. There basically most of Sardarji groups are basically staying. Sardar basically, Sardar, that is Punjabi group basically. That group are basically staying. One person told that if that land basically, that is one of the Canada basically, one of the Canada basically, there is one area basically for of 8 kilometer area basically that is connecting to 8 kilometer area. If that 8 kilometer land basically will disappear from this earth planet basically, that means disappear from the universe basically, then not a single computer of India will get on. So this was basically very dangerous question basically. This will get on or basically this will not get on. So that was very dangerous thing basically. So one of the person told that the person who actually introduced the computer in India, that is Rajiv Gandhi. That is basically the Rajiv Gandhi who actually introduced the computer in India. So one person basically told that basically Sunil basically are you sure basically you are telling this correct? Then Sunil Narnair told that basically ask Rajiv Gandhi who actually played the role of Rajiv Gandhi. Ask him basically whether Sunil Narnair basically is telling right or wrong. So one of the person told that the person who played the role of Rajiv Gandhi, he basically might be knowing this basically that who are basically involved in this. Then one person told that if that land basically Sunil will get disappear, then you will get the job. Yes, basically. Then basically Sunil Narnair told that then basically entire world basically sorry entire India computer will get off, and Sunil Narnair basically will get the job basically. Because whole entire India basically will not work. Then basically they will think na basically why the computer is not getting on. Then they will see that basically yes that land basically I suddenly got disappeared. The universe group told that basically we are going to use this way basically. We are going to use this way basically. So that is this way. So another person told that is not possible here basically. That means you want to say that there is one land basically in Canada. On the base of that, the entire India, for example, in India basically there are 800 computer basically, 800 computer basically, or 800 computer, laptops, mobile, everything basically. That is the communication channel basically. Even basically television because television are also basically running on the base of Android basically application. So the everything basically gets on. That is on the base of that Canada land basically. If that Canada land basically will get disappear basically, then basically not a single computer in this world will get on. So assume that basically this Sunilar Nair basically got the information. Universe group also basically know this because they are only doing this. So one of the person told that assume that basically today world will end. So the chain of the entire connection basically will be like this only. Entire computers, world computer, connected servers, IBM server, Dell Lab server, Infosys server, IBM server, Tata Group server, TCS Group server. Then all become one server, that is Capgemini server, then Accenture server. This all server basically will become one, and the connection of this everything basically connects to Canada land basically. And through Canada land basically the satellite basically gives the connection. So land basically satellites are giving the connection. You will not able to believe it. You can believe this basically. And there might be some few lava data also. So one of the person who said, yeah, this basically, then basically the people who are staying in that land basically, that is also a thing basically. So there people basically are staying, basically not staying, or basically what is that? So one of the person told that this basically need to check here basically the universe group basically will, after this video basically the universe group will basically immediately change the connection of power supply from Canada. And Canada is basically getting money on the base of this only basically. That is power supply. So whatever India basically they do, whatever basically the person basically who go against India, they basically give trouble to that person. So now basically see what are the things going to happen to Canada. So one person told that after this video, basically mostly the universe group will change the direction basically of the power supply. They might change the power supply from Canada to another country. So the entire income of Canada basically will get disappear. This basically the universe group will do, because if they will do, the entire oil supply chain also will get end basically of the Canada, because on the base of that power supply only the oil was getting generated. So this was actually shocking. Why? Because if anybody go against, tell anybody bad thing about India, basically they basically literally basically comes down and basically tells that basically who is that person, basically they told this. So now basically see what are the thing going to happen on the name of India. Basically, you have given everything. Basically. So keeps on giving it. So now basically another country basically came into the picture, because you can't get the power supply of India computer basically from India land only. So there should be one land basically. So why basically they picked Canada basically? Then one of the person told that there basically most of Sardarji groups are basically staying. Most of Sardar groups are basically staying, and they are basically telling that basically if anybody goes against India basically we will kill that person basically. We will send them offer letter, that kind of offer letter, that they will get very dangerous punishment basically. So one person told that if this will get disappear, then basically Canada will end everything. On the name of India, basically they have finished their country basically. On the name of India country, basically they have finished that country basically. Then one of the person told that Sardarji basically have ended Canada basically on the name of India basically. On the name of India, basically they have finished Canada. But this is real fact, basically. This is real fact. Basically. So after this video, basically, when I'm going to upload this video, whether I will upload or not upload, basically, the universe will group will get information automatically, basically. And they will change immediately the power supply of India land, basically. Because Canada land is the land basically from where the entire India, that is 800 crore computers basically are getting power supply. So one of the person told that इंडिया की जो दादागिरी है इंडिया की जो दादागिरी है वो इस तरह खत्म हो जाएगी. India is that, India is that, India is this. If anybody go against India, but then basically they finish the city only. So this is not the way basically. In real, basically the Indian people only basically are finishing India basically. But if anybody, the innocent person basically will tell something basically. 93 bomb blast was done by whom basically? The police commissioner of Mumbai basically. And if anybody will tell against India, basically, the Mumbai land police commissioner basically will come again basically and tell that who is that person basically who told about India. But real में तूने ही तो किया था 93 bomb blast. The Mumbai police commissioner has done that 93 bomb blast. 93 bomb blast basically was done by Mumbai Police Commissioner, and that basically everybody knows. Basically, it's not like that. Basically, राम नाम पे जो किया है, राम के नाम पे जो किया है ना, everything is basically on the picture basically. So don't worry about basically anything basically. Don't worry about that basically. Whatever things basically you have done basically on the name of Ram, that everything is basically recorded. So 93 bomb blast also basically was that on the name of Sri Ram, on the name of Sri Ram Mandir. And if anybody will take printout of something bad slogan of India, immediately the Canadian group basically sent the mails. हमने इसको ये punishment दिया, we have given those punishment. Why? Because they are getting money from India. The computers are getting on. Why basically? The Canada land is giving the power supply to each computer basically. If that land basically will disappear from the Canada basically. Sorry, the Canada will disappear basically. Then computer basically of India will get on. Will get on basically. One person told that, yeah, basically everything basically they are doing so smoothly basically. मतलब so smoothly basically means nobody can track that basically up to that level they are doing. How that is possible basically? So one person told that the Vinod Khanna basically died. Vinod Khanna actor is basically there. Just a minute. I will display everything basically. Just a minute. Because after this video, lots of things basically is going to happen. This person basically. See basically this person. You can see this person in the in front of the world. Basically, he died. But really, what he is doing basically. So he might be doing that kind of activities basically, which nobody can able to track, and that are bad activities only. That all are bad activities. Giving the punishment to people, because if anybody is giving the punishment, for example, cyber crime basically are giving the punishment, so the people will track na basically how they are getting the punishment. So the Bollywood groups basically who actually died na basically they are giving the punishments. So that basically they are in the Canada. One of the person told that who is America president basically, who is American president basically, who is American president. And one person basically told that also, that do you know basically one thing, the entire country prime minister chief minister basically are running on the base of teacher basically, the teachers basically who are teaching in colleges, in schools, sometimes they are basically still studying the students basically, their students basically are in the chief minister post, their students basically are in the prime minister post, and they are basically backing them basically. So few people says that also, and one person told that, one person told that who is this basically, who is this basically, who is this basically. Then one person told that, yeah, basically, who is this basically? How we can track here basically? We basically Sunil here basically you are because he in front of the world basically he's a terrorist basically. He has done the World Trade Center. I don't know what center basically he has finished basically of America. And one person told up to this level basically you will not able to believe it basically. Do you know what is that? World Trade Center basically money basically assume that basically it actually spent around 90,000 crore basically. Indian 90,000 basically crore we will take. Do you know basically from where 90,000 crore was come? Do you know that Sunil basically? Do you know that basically from where the 90,000 crore was came basically? There was one match basically of India and New Zealand basically in 1996 basically where the India has scored around 270 run basically and New Zealand basically lost that match basically. From that match na basically they have collected 90,000 crore or basically it might be match series also because from match one match basically 90,000 crore is not possible. So one person told that this match basically, do you know where it was played? It was played in India basically. And do you know basically which country basically was creating, which country basically was handling that software basically? That was Canada basically, where basically the Sardar G groups are basically staying. Just a minute. So one person told that, yeah, basically, are you sure basically it's like that basically? So in front of police basically, in front of police basically they have collected the money of World Trade Center basically. In front of the police basically they have collected the, and in the order of police basically they have collected the World Trade Center money basically. And police basically has done nothing basically. And in this basically the Canada basically was the software company basically who actually created this software basically. That is a collecting of money software basically. In that basically they collected 90,000 crore. So you can't believe it basically up to what level the cricket connection is also basically. Cricket connection basically up to what level basically you will not able to believe it basically. So 93 born, World Trade Center basically was planned in 1995 in front of the police basically you will not able to believe it basically. In this American police was also involved basically and Indian police was involved basically and Indian plus Pakistan because few Pakistani people basically are also working in India basically. That also we are going to discuss basically. That means in India basically the people basically there is no police basically in India that you are basically taking Pakistani police to India basically. You are basically calling from Pakistan to India basically and then basically they are doing the job. In this basically one of the person told dude, there is one software company basically, it's very old software company basically, they are handling this whole data basically. If anybody basically asks that, just a minute, basically I will clear it basically so that basically this video would create history. One person told that who is this person basically, who is this person basically. Then one person told ये तो भाई अमेरिका का बहुत बड़ा मतलब he is basically biggest terrorist basically of India, sorry not of India basically, not of India basically, just he is basically terrorist of America basically. So he has given name as a terrorist basically. इसको नाम दिया है terrorist. Just means I will give the close up basically. See basically, see the close view basically. See. So one person told that he's not a terrorist of India basically. He's a terrorist of USA basically. So one person told that, yeah, basically You told that basically if I want to get information of this person basically, from where basically I can get it. So one person told that if you want to take the information of this person basically, his original name basically might not be Osama bin Laden basically. So one person told that then what would be his original name basically? Then one person told that ask SBI Group, that are the State Bank of India basically. They basically have the entire data of each and every Muslim group basically. Each and every Muslim basically who are basically in this world basically, they have the data of these people. So one person basically told that this person basically who died in front of basically he died basically, right? But history never ends. That also always remember basically. So what he might be in America only basically. He might be in America only. So what basically he might be doing basically in America? One of the person basically asked the question. Because police group are so bad basically you will not able to believe it basically. They never confront basically. They never confront basically that Ukraine Russia basically currently war is ongoing. So currently basically India basically situation is like that. They basically never comes front basically they are not coming basically. Front basically they are not giving. They are always playing with back basically. They are taking some company, they are basically hiring some company, and then basically they are telling that do this type of activities. But they are never come. They are basically never basically coming front basically. So just a minute, I will clear it basically. So one person told that yeah, matlab, if you want to, one of the person basically from a USA basically asked Sunil R. Nair basically where his account basically will be. Then Sunil R. Nair told that basically each and every Muslim's account basically are in the State Bank of India basically. In State Bank of India basically. Yes, basically. In State Bank of India basically, and that is the nationalized bank of India basically. You will not able to believe basically. So India is a terrorist country basically. One of the person basically asked the person. One of the person basically asked this question basically. India is a terrorist country basically. You are telling that basically Pakistan is terrorist country basically. But all account basically of Muslim group and terrorists basically are in SBI group basically. But real name basically are totally different basically. And you are telling that basically we will give punishment to that person. That person basically told something about India. That person basically told something about Shivaji Maharaj. That person basically something told about Mahendra Singh Dhoni. That person basically something told about Tata Group. That person basically told something about Reliance. But in really basically 93 bomb blast basically was done by Mumbai police commissioner basically. Without police permission basically you can't do a single bomb blast basically. On the name of Sri Ram basically they have done this basically. So that was done by UP, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. On the name of Sri Ram basically they have created the temple basically. They have created the temple basically. So you can just imagine basically what are the things basically going to be happen in that temple basically. If they can do bomb blast basically in Mumbai basically, then what are the activities basically going to happen in that temple basically? But nobody is there to ask basically. Who is going to ask basically? Who is going to ask basically? कौन पूछने वाला है basically? Who is going to ask Uttar Pradesh? Who is going to ask Madhya Pradesh? Who is going to ask Bihar basically? Because they are basically handling the politics basically. And if anybody basically will say that basically UP Bihar ko bhagao basically, they will break their head basically. They will break their hand also basically. They will break their neck also basically. Sometimes basically they break their hair also basically. So in this video basically lots of police departments real task basically came into the picture. That basically you will not able to believe it basically. So one of the person told that if any bomb blast basically is going to happen na basically, They basically advance basically know everything. Why? Because their people basically are doing it, basically. But we don't have any proof basically. So you can't basically. I will tell basically the 93 bomb blast basically which was happened basically at 93 or basically 91 basically two might have planned, and he might have left basically after doing the planning basically, because he will never come in front basically. That is a rule basically. The things basically which is going to happen basically, they immediately plans and then basically they leave the country. Sometimes basically he might have left the country also. One of the person told that Boris Johnson basically, he's from which state basically. So few people says that he's from Madhya Pradesh. He's the Indian Army person basically. Few people says this also basically. He's from the Indian Army basically. He's from the Indian Army also. Lots of people says. People says, huh, basically. So one of the person told that currently basically this person basically might be doing what basically. He basically, you told that basically his account basically might be in SBI, that is State Bank of India basically. So one of the person told that India मतलब terrorist country है क्या basically? India is a terrorist country basically. But in real basically you are telling that Pakistan is a terrorist country. But in real basically this kind of person basically, he is having account in SBI. But you will never able to reach up to that account basically. Why? Because if anybody country basically like America basically know everything. Why? Because both India and America are partner in terrorist basically. And so which is, for example, assume that basically UAE basically one of the country, that is basically Dubai basically gets the information that this person basically is having account in SBI. In front of world basically his name is what? Osama bin Laden. But in real basically he is what? That basically you have to ask to SBI, that is the State Bank of India. So one person told that if the customer basically of SBI is like this, then how might be the bank managers? How might be the deputy managers? How might be the SBI group head basically? Who might be those group basically who are handling these people basically? Who are basically handling these people? So one person basically told that the World Trade Center basically which was done basically, that money was collected in 1995 match basically. And one person told that if you are asking Dubai basically, they are basically what they are doing, because Dubai is only basically connected with the cricket basically. That is also correct. So it's a one circle basically of the terrorist basically. Few people says that the person who finished the country, finished the USA basically, he only basically know to handle the USA, know to handle the USA. So who is he basically? Who is he basically? And currently he is handling the USA. So few people says that there are basically many uh, person basically who says that basically who actually finish the USA basically, he will only basically create the America basically. He will only basically runs the America. So few people says that who are basically sitting at the prime minister president's post basically, they basically are human cloning basically. They have their basically bodies are done basically human cloning. That type also thing basically lots of people says. So that human cloning basically has done basically of particular died person basically, and then basically converted into president basically. So that data the SBI group basically might be having 100%. They might be having the basically because in USA also SBI account SBI bank is there basically. So one person told the India मतलब क्या है यार basically India. What is India basically? In this basically USA is the partner of India basically. In this basically USA is the partner of India basically. One person asked the question India है क्या? What is India? And anybody basically tells something basically about India basically they basically I don't know what they do basically. They sends offer letter. They basically sends, but they directly basically they don't send. Basically, from India basically they never sends. Why? Because they know everything. That SBI one of the customer is Usama bin Laden. His original name is that only SBI groups knows. So they have created that is the India country has created many countries. Like Canada is one of the country. In that basically Indian country people basically are there. Still basically they are after this video basically they will be there. So whatever computer basically gets on in India that is coming from the Canada power supply. So one person told that basically. One you basically told one more thing basically Sunil. You told basically one more thing basically. The old Bollywood characters, right? Like Rajkumar, then the Vinod Khanna, then the Manoj Kumar, then the Vinod Mehra, then Annu Agarwal, then basically the Rakhi, and then basically the Rekha, then they basically the uh, Amitabh Bachchan, no, Amitabh Bachchan basically still there. Basically. Then basically the Rishi Kapoor. What actually they are doing basically? Because they have already died. And history basically never ends. That everybody knows. So what they might be doing basically? Because India is that kind of country basically. They never ends the history. So Osama bin Laden is one of the customer of SBI. That is the State Bank of India will not able to believe it basically. And in India, all activities basically USA is the partner of India. And in that basically they have created one Canada country basically. In this basically they have created Canada country basically. Because they also know that basically one day lots of things basically comes into the picture basically. Then it will create the lots of problem basically. So they created one Canada country and they are basically against India basically. And that is handled by USA basically. So anybody will say that basically Canada basically is the country basically who is having the giving the power supply. So that basically anybody can believe it basically. No, why? Because India basically is enemy of Canada. Khalistani group basically. But one person of Khalistani, that is the leader of Khalistani, on the base of his order, basically, entire Khalistani of Canadian Khalistani, basically, they basically do their duty. So few people says that whatever things are basically in front, that basically are wrong, basically that everybody knows, right? So he might be which kind of person, basically? He might be pagdi wagdi might be there, basically, but that might be nakli pagdi. That might be nakli pagdi. Why? Because in future, basically, anybody tries to track him, basically, then basically nobody in this world basically can track him, basically. Why? You will reach to assume that basically you reached to Khalistani. Some basically country basically started telling that basically we want to finish terrorism basically. So they reached up to Khalistani basically. But they basically can reach up to that person who is the leader of Khalistani. Why? Because in real basically is not Sardar basically. He is not Sardar basically. He is one of the Indian person basically. He is one of the customer of SBI. He is the playing the role of leader of Khalistani. And he is handled by one of the police department basically. I told him basically 93 bomb blast basically was planned by one of the police commissioner, that is the Mumbai. So if Mumbai police commissioner basically can plan 93 bomb blast, so this everything basically are the normal task for Indian commissioners basically, that are the police commissioners. This all task basically a normal thing here basically. If that they basically can plan basically within sitting in Mumbai basically they can do the 93 bomb blast plan. So these all are the Canada group basically. They are Khalistani basically, sitting at Canada basically. And they are basically Sardarjis. They are cutters of Hindu basically. Sorry, cutter of India basically. So in future basically anybody will say that basically Canada basically might be giving the power supply. So anybody will believe it basically? No basically. Why? Because they are cutter of India basically. So the power supply is also basically kept as a those country basically who is the enemy. But one person is connected with that Khalistani leader, and he is 100% not Sardar basically. He might be some Indian basically. And currently basically the Narendra Damodar Modi is ruling, so he might be Gujarati. Because whoever basically is ruling the India, that caste only basically handles the all big roles. So in that Khalistani also basically one Gujarati might be handling that role basically. This everything basically comes into the political people, political lecture basically. This everything comes into the political science basically. That also you can say. So if India Police Commissioner, that is the Mumbai Police Commissioner, on the name of Ram Temple, basically they can do 93 bomb blast. So this whole thing basically are normal basically. ये सब तो मतलब मामूली चीज है यार basically. This all are normal thing basically by handling one Khalistani person. So rule says whoever basically is the Prime Minister of India. So just a minute. Hello. So that was one of the call from Pune city basically. Pune city called me basically. So another person was the Khalistani, the 93 bomb blast basically, which was planned by Mumbai city. If they can do this type of thing basically on the name of Ram Temple, then this every Khalistani Walistani is basically normal thing basically. ये सब तो मामूली thing है basically. And who is basically the sponsor of Narendra Damodar Modi? That is Mukesh Ambani, Ambani Parivar, and Tata Group basically. So real villain कौन है basically? Who are the real villains? And if anybody basically will say against basically India, they basically literally comes out and they basically say कौन है भाई बोला इंडिया के बारे में, कौन बोला इंडिया के बारे में. So you can just imagine basically if the SBI customer is Osama bin Laden basically, one of the customer basically of SBI is Osama bin Laden basically, then you can just imagine basically he's basically his name basically might be totally different in SBI basically, State Bank of India basically, his name basically might be totally different, and he basically might be handling America basically, but he might be president or basically USA president. That basically I basically can't say 100%, but he might be handling USA. That is 100%. Why? Because he has died na, basically in front of world basically, and people basically who are very powerful, they dies in front of the public na, basically. they rules the country. So he might be ruling the country, but he might be president basically of USA, that is United States of America. That I basically can't say 100%. So you can just imagine basically up to what level basically the things are connected basically. And few people says that basically you don't speak anything, Sunil. Basically, you basically don't speak anything basically. So SBI customer basically is this kind of person basically. Then who might be manager basically of SBI? Who is handling this type of people basically? 1995 basically the World Trade Center basically which was going to crash. 90,000 crore money basically was collected from that match basically, which was basically between New Zealand and India basically. In that basically I think India won the series basically. That money basically was 90,000 crore that was used in World Trade Center crash. Two plane basically crashed in World Trade Center. And lots of people says that the money which was collected basically, that software basically was created by one of the Canadian person. Currently, who is ruling Canada basically? Just a minute, basically we will clear everything basically, because lots of people says that prime minister to सीधे साधे है, because they creates problem to innocent people basically, but they basically never say that basically who they are basically. So we are displaying basically who they are. After this basically they will not harass basically. So he is that person basically. Just a minute. You can see this person. So one of the Canadian person basically has developed that software. On the base of that software, basically the money was collected. That was 90,000 crore, and still that software is getting used. And one of the Canadian person basically has created that software. So he is very dangerous person. So he have to give some high tech security, because he know that, but he might be knowing this basically, that from his software basically 90,000 crore basically money has collected, because there are many softwares basically which the business development managers creates it. They basically create, but they use in different way. But this is basically something totally different software. So the person who created this software basically he might be 100% knowing that this is going to use for that World Trade Center. So currently who is ruling India? That is Gujarati Prime Minister basically. So his people everywhere basically will be there. So Khalistani leader basically might be Gujarati, and he basically might not be Sardarji. He might not be Sardarji basically. That is 100% sure. That basically I can give you in bond paper basically, in written basically. He is not Sardar basically, because he is Gujarati basically. Then Gujarati basically can become Sardar. That is possible. That is not possible. Yeah, practically it is not possible. That one Gujarati basically will become Sardar and basically he will do this type of pagdi wagdi. That is not possible. That will be insult of Sardarji basically. So here basically the one thing is that Sardarji basically groups know this basically. Their basically leader is not Khalistani. He is one of the Gujarati basically. 100% they might be knowing them basically. The entire Canada basically, that the 70 the 40 percentage population basically are Sardars. and most of basically 30% are Khalistani. So you can just imagine it. If SBI customer is like this basically, then how might be the prime minister? Sorry, how might be the SBI managers? Who might be those people? Basically? So here basically the one person basically asked the question. Yeah, basically India मतलब terrorist country है क्या basically? But in front basically the Pakistanis are terrorists. In front basically the Pakistanis are terrorists, na basically. So one person basically asked the question. This type of thing basically is created, right? Basically, in front basically Pakistanis are terrorists, but in real basically, see, State Bank of India, the biggest bank basically, the central bank basically, who is having the customer of Osama bin Laden. But his name basically might be totally different in bank basically, because all Muslims account basically are in SBI. All big leaders, basically all big Muslims leader basically, and they basically are controlling the Muslim public basically, because it's very dangerous basically. It's very dangerous basically. So Narendra Damodar Modi is one prime minister basically, but he one person basically can't do anything basically. So there are sponsors of Narendra Damodar Modi. Who are those? Adanis, Ambanis, Tatas, Mittals. That are the Mittal brothers. They basically came back basically because they know everything basically. That anything basically can happen anytime. And few people basically has not came. They also basically are going to come basically back to Hindustan. Then one of the person told that if 93 bomb blast basically was planned by one of the UP person basically, and he was basically once upon a time of commissioner of Mumbai basically. That time basically he has planned everything on the name of Sri Ram Temple. That's why basically na, if suspicious thing basically happens in any of the city, for example in Mumbai basically something suspicious basically happened. Why basically police immediately basically runs to that place? The reason behind is this: without any police basically anything basically is happening in Mumbai basically, that basically they are checking basically, they are not checking that basically any terror activity is happening or not basically, because terror activity they are only doing basically, they are only doing all the terror activities. So one of the person told me if they are doing the terror activity, then basically why the police basically are checking the stuff basically, they are doing, why they are checking, because is there any activity basically which is happening in Mumbai other than their plan basically, that actually they are checking basically. It's about Mumbai, it's about entire India basically, and in India basically is connected with Dubai also, Canada also, USA also. So USA also is like this only basically, and this is fact basically. And if one person basically will tells anything basically भाई हिंदुस्तान हम बहुत अच्छा नहीं है, धोनी अच्छा आदमी नहीं है, immediately basically they damage their head. But real सी तू तेरा देख भाई, who are the customers of SBI, State Bank of India का, देख तेरा तू देख, you see yourself basically, who are you, who is India basically, that you see basically in your inside basically, who are the customers of you basically, that you see. Unnecessary basically you are giving trouble to others basically, if this type of thing basically will leaks in front of the public basically. But in front, for example, I will take one example. Sunil, basically your video basically is displayed in front of the public basically, you are basically launching everything in YouTube video, right? But that how many people basically can see that video? Because YouTube is also basically of the India basically, owner of India basically is connected with the YouTube basically. So he will display this video basically in front of the public basically that Mumbai police has done 93 bomb blast. This type of activity they will display basically. So they are actually checking. Do you know what? They are checking that any suspicious activity basically is happening which they have not planned. That is the Mumbai police commissioner has not planned. So in short basically whatever list of plans basically Mumbai commissioner has done, other than that basically any activity is happening, that they check basically. And unnecessary the person basically who is not knowing anything basically, they gives trouble to them. That is the aam admi. They give troubles to aam admi, but they never sees that basically what actually they are. That तू तेरा झाक, तू क्या है अंदर. You see what you are basically inside, then basically see of others basically. What Mumbai police commissioner you see inside basically what you are. You see basically what you are basically, then basically see of others basically. You are basically what doing that, you know basically. Unnecessary basically you are giving trouble to normal person basically. If SBI customer is like this basically, then you can imagine na basically what are the stuff basically is happening in India country basically. In India country basically what are the stuff basically happening that is not supposed to display basically. Yeah. Canada is basically full support of India basically. Why? Canada is earning money so that basically his computer basically can get on basically. India's computer basically. So entire when the Rajiv Gandhi was basically on creation of computers basically, that time he has set the computer power supply in that land basically. One person basically asked the question, yeah Sunil basically in Vadodara city basically you are getting the power supply. That is coming from where basically? Then one person told that you basically sometimes see basically plane basically goes from sky basically. Yes, basically I can see na basically. Helicopter sometime goes. Yes, basically that also we can see. They are actually changing the power supply. Sometimes basically they say that basically they are taking data from that land. Sometimes basically they are telling that they are taking data from that land. So whenever they feels that there is problem basically going to happen with that public basically that is of Vadodara city, they immediately change the power supply. Why? Because India तेरे बाप का है ना. You do whatever basically you want to do. मुंबई तेरे बाप का है. You do bomb blast basically whatever basically you want to do. Who is going to ask you basically? He's basically anybody is there basically to ask you basically. You are basically doing anything, everything basically on the name of Ram temple. Who is going to ask you basically? Who is going to ask Uttar Pradesh? Who is going to ask Bihar? Who is going to ask Madhya Pradesh? If anybody will ask, then they will give HIV/AIDS. They basically done do nasbandi of that particular person basically. But really, basically, who are you basically? You watch yourself basically. After that, basically, shout to other basically. You should be clear yourself basically. That तू मतलब सच्चा है. You are basically truth person basically. Then only basically you can shout to another basically. To another person basically. तू क्या है वो तू झांकने पहले है. What basically what you are basically. That you see yourself basically. Then basically see of others basically. SBI group says that basically we can't give you the account, we can't basically give you the job. Why? Because some case is basically ongoing. But तेरा account देख basically who are the customers. Osama bin Laden, his real name basically something else. That you see yourself basically. Unnecessary you are giving trouble to other people basically. तू तेरा जाग पहले. तेरे customer कैसे? You how basically your customers. And SBI know everything basically. One day basically the finger basically is going to raise on SBI. So he basically keeps himself basically very clear. How? He creates HDFC, he creates Bank of Baroda, he creates Union Bank, he basically creates Access Bank, he creates that bank, he creates HSBC. So that basically he should be clear basically. मतलब वो क्लियर होना चाहिए. Rest of people basically are fool basically. That basically a few people says that basically you don't speak anything basically. But see yourself basically what you are doing basically. What you are doing that you see na basically yourself basically. Then you basically tell other people basically you don't speak anything basically. So one person basically is not speaking anything. That doesn't mean that basically he's a fool person basically. He's a fool person basically. You don't say that basically he's a fool person basically. He might be knowing everything basically of the system basically. The State Bank of India basically is like this basically. Then how might be the India country basically? And unnecessary basically you are spoiling the name of Pakistan. That Pakistan is a terrorist country. And in front of the world basically Pakistan is the terrorist. But in real basically who is a terrorist basically? Who is a terrorist country basically? Who is a terror country basically? In front of the public basically. Sorry, in front of the world basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuffs are. It doesn't mean that basically if one person basically is not speaking anything and you can basically do everything basically to anything basically to him basically. One person told that the Bollywood person basically who died basically what they are doing basically. Currently basically what Annu Agrawal is doing. Currently what the Vinod Khanna is doing. Currently what the Osama bin Laden basically his body basically is cloned human cloned basically what that human clone is basically doing. He's basically ruling America. What is Vinod Mehra doing basically? What currently is doing basically? What he's doing basically? So that these people think that basically nobody can track them basically. If they can basically do anything basically, they will damage head. They basically give punishment, this punishment, that punishment. They basically think that basically nothing, nobody is going to do anything to their land basically, where basically they are staying. So one person told that America basically will not tell anything basically to SBI. Why? Because America is a partner of India. It's very old partner basically, and Russia is also partner of India basically. That means Russian also basically know that SBI basically have customer like Osama bin Laden. So Osama bin Laden is one person basically who is the playing the role of Osama bin Laden. His name basically might be totally different in SBI. His name might be totally different. So Russian group also basically know that what is SBI. It's not like that basically they don't know anything, right? Pakistan also know everything basically. That what is India. Don't keep yourself clean basically. तू बहुत मेला है. India country is too much mela. But to clean yourself basically, you don't basically spoil others' name basically. And you basically think that basically India Police Commissioner is the clean person basically. They are stopping the terrorists basically. But in real basically, they are seeing basically that other than activity basically which they have planned the activities basically. Other than that activity basically, anything is happening. So whatever activities they have listed basically, that only must happen basically. They are actually checking that basically. That actually they are checking basically. So next video basically we are going to see little bit more about India in front of world basically it is a clean country, but in real basically it's a very mela country. That country basically we are talking about something more basically and about the people.